Village of Romeo Council meeting for December 19th, 2022. Starting off, we have our public hearing for a public notice. It is a notice on the vacation of a public alley located in the original town plat of the Village of Romeo, Macomb County, Michigan. Read a portion of this. We won't go into all the detail of the numbers. Notice is hereby given pursuant to MCL 6713 and MCL 15261-MCL 15275, that a public hearing will be held by the Village of Romeo Council on Monday, December 19th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Romeo Community Center, South Building, 361 Morton Street, Romeo, Michigan, 48065. The purpose of this public hearing is to hear objections, oral or written, to vacate an alley as described. For the alleys in an unimproved section of Harriet Street within the boundaries of the Romeo Lions Club properties to be vacated by a resolution of this board. The areas have not been used for public purposes in decades, and the club would like to lower their parcel count by combining parcels where possible. It goes into all of the parcels and the numbers. And that is that. So we open the public hearing. If anybody has a comment regarding this alley.
So are they just going to get that for free, the property? Or are they going to buy it?
This would be just giving it to them.
Just giving it to them? Okay, so I'm just curious. We're just going to give some more property away. More pieces of the alleys away. All right, that's just curious. That's what we're going to do. All right.
Are you a resident in the area?
Yeah.
50 years. 50 years? What's your name?
McManus. Sean.
Sean?
Anybody else? Okay, we'll close the public hearing at this time. And we will move into our regular Board of Trustees meeting. Could you call roll, please, Catherine? Oh, wait. First, let's say the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There you go. Now could you call roll, please?
Yes. Bartholomew?
Here.
Edwards?
Here.
Fowler?
Yes.
Parker?
Here.
Rosso?
Here.
President Poznanski?
Here.
We have 6 present.
And then let's move into our consent agenda. We have our minutes from November 21st, our council bills, and the agenda. Do we need to pull anything out here?
I would like to pull out the minutes.
Okay.
Start, third page. New business A, says motion made by Parker, seconded by Edwards to approve the date and the 5K run map. That's not, the motion was to approve having the 5K subject to approval of the map, not, we didn't approve a map because I don't think we had a finalized map at that time.
Okay.
That's all I had on the minutes.
Okay.
Under new business, I would like to move the DDA funding request.
Are you
at the very-
talking that agenda or
Yes.
the minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
The agenda, okay.
You would request what now?
Under new business, move the DDA funding request up to the top, anywhere in there so that it's with the other DDA items.
Does anybody have a problem with that?
Put it at C, move everything down one?
Yeah.
Okay. They just kind of got thrown on there as they were put in.
Thank you.
Anything else?
And not on the minutes. I do have a question on the check registry.
Do you want, hold on, can you, one
Yeah.
second. Would you like us to do a motion of what we've already gone so far?
If you guys are satisfied with those 2 items, that'll be just fine.
Okay. Can we get a motion to approve the minutes as adjusted.
I'll make that motion.
Support?
And that was just the minutes, correct?
Just the minutes, we've done those.
And that was support by Bartholomew. Okay.
And then can I get a motion to approve the agenda with the,
We haven't voted on that yet.
no, that's what I'm asking for. The agenda with the,
We have to vote on the minutes, though,
We have
first.
to vote
Mary.
on the minutes.
We just made
Oh,
a
go
motion to
ahead.
approve the minutes.
Do you want a roll call vote for the minutes?
I guess so.
Parker?
Yes.
Excuse me, Bartholomew?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
Rosso?
Yes.
President Poznanski?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0 for the minutes.
Okay, now for the agenda.
I'll make that motion. Approve the agenda with the change of the DDA funding request.
Support?
You doing all in favor? Is that good enough?
Done, you can- Yeah, you can do that.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Motion carried.
Okay, now moving to the bills. Go ahead, Justin.
Hey, check registry, I had two line items. One for the curb pump, it's about 5 down for 11,330 or 355. And then a few down below that for Wolverine Freight for the 345,000.
Well, I know that the big number is our new snow
Is
plows,
that what that is? Okay.
2 of them.
That's the Wolverine Freight? Okay.
Correct.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Want it- And then, do we know what the curb pump's for? I'm assuming it's,
It's for our, variable speed dryers and VFDs that we
Okay.
got.
cool, thank you.
I have a question on the Chase card services.
Yes, I did bring the credit card.
Oh, so you have the information?
Yes, I do. What would you
Okay.
like?
That's
And
good.
I mean, if you would like me to read through it
Nope,
all,
nope,
but if you have a
fine.
specific question for
You
me.
got backup, right?
Yeah, most of it is office supplies. We do have some food purchases, a chair,
Purchases.
a chair. Was that for the police? For the police needed a new chair.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope. That's it.
We're, I didn't include it this month, as we don't have that in our rules of order. And at the time when should this council want to adjust our rules of order, we can adjust what is included in our packet at that time. But I brought it just for support.
One last question. Regarding the accusation that Ms. Maddox made at the last meeting, has that all been documented and taken care of, put in the file?
Yes.
Okay.
I did respond to that email.
All right, so we're okay to pay mid-TV, whatever we own, that's fine. Okay, cool.
All documents are in order.
You're welcome to come in and inspect them,
No, I'm
or
good.
I can, if you would request
I
copies
believe you
of
until
them.
I see something wrong.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions. Pamela Sue Kramer?
She's the supplies cleaning services for the DPW.
Okay. And Heather Dillon?
She supplies cleaning services for the police department and the village hall.
Okay.
Anything else?
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion to approve our council bills in the amount of $88,796.91 and $498,502.06.
I'll make a motion to approve the payment of the bills.
Support?
You ready for the roll call vote?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Edwards?
Yes.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
Rosso?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
President Poznanski?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Okay, we have no special presentations, no correspondence, and now we move into our public comment time. So for tonight, Welcome, Grace. Everyone is welcome to speak. You do not have to be a resident in order to speak at public comment time. You may comment on any topic that you would like on the agenda or not. And in order to be respectful of everyone's time and to ensure that we have adequate ability to get through our agenda tonight, we will be allowing 3 minutes per person. We have our timer set. We will be done at 3 minutes, whether you are finished or not. If you have a comment, please state it now, as the board will be conducting business for the remainder of the meeting. Have at it.
You can go first, ladies first.
Hi, Ruth Heidebreck, 354 Salem Drive, South, Village of Romeo in Washington Township. I'm here to publicly address what Mr. Fowler had to say about Sherry Maddox's accusations, slanderous accusations against Submit TV at the last meeting. It's not the first time. I hope it's the last, since she's not in her position, but she took her position and her officer report time to state that several untruths. And since it did go into great detail, I would like to clarify it. She stated that the MIT TV, and by the way, I'm the founder of the MIT TV, and the Village of Romeo is our client, and has been since 2016, and is now under a 5-year contract with us. I believe that Sherry Maddox had the 2018 contract because what she said was not in our newest contract. She stated that she requested documentation from me, which she did not, and she also refused in the beginning in 2018 to again not sign 5 checks 5 months in a row. When the new president came in, again, another politician comes in and fixes the issue. At that point, she was told to sign the checks, and we were paid our 5 months in arrears. We didn't take any legal action at that time. We continued to do our job like we have since 2016. In her words, she said, "I'm stating loud and clear that I will not be signing the MIT TV for checks for this reason. Number A, we don't carry any workman's comp insurance." Totally untrue. Our whole entire team is independent contractors, and I don't pay myself a bonus or anything else. I fund the company, besides the contracts that we have legally or commercially. We carry workman's comp just in case one of the contractors doesn't have insurance. B, she stated B in the contract, we do not have commercial or general liability insurance.
Ruth, you have 20 seconds just as a heads up.
All right, so we've got commercial liability insurance, we've got motor liability, we've got additional insurance. There's nothing in F that applies to our contract now, and we have done our job, and very well.
That's very loud. Thank you, Ruth.
Bye.
I'd like to say thanks, Ruth. Like I said, it was made, so I'm glad that the office got their documentation in place, and we can.
All she had to do
continue
was
on.
ask the clerk. The clerk has all of that on file.
Well,
Okay.
I did it. At the
Next
time I
comment,
did ask
please.
them, they
Let's
didn't have it.
let's
I'm
take
sorry,
it.
yes.
Next comment, please.
Hi, my name's Sean McManus, 157 West St. Clair, Romeo. I have a few questions I'd like to comment or ask. I want to know about the flower box that got put in and how much that rascal cost. And if we had some engineered prints for that, because last week I seen they came out and put some kind of slip and slide stuff on the sidewalk because the pitch is so steep. And if that's how we're going to leave it, or, you know, that's permanent. And if we had the extra money for our flower box, why we just didn't finish all the 4 corners, you know, the whole project? Up there by the church and the library, there was supposed to be crosswalks done there, and those weren't finished, and are we still having to do those? Do we still have to come up with the money for that? And another thing is where we did down by the Four Corners, the county did that, 7 years ago? And now we redid them again. And I don't think those are right because there's a 10-inch step down there in front of the, so do we have to put a handrail down there? Like we did on the, downtown. So I'm just was wondering if someone can check some of those things out and see what's going on. Like especially with that engineer drawing, I'd like to see that. The DDA put some stuff up 2 years ago, what was gonna happen, and it doesn't look like anything like what they put up. They showed some, elevations and stuff. They're gonna replace the stairs in front of the Masonic Hall. That didn't happen. And stuff like that. So I'm just was, wondering what was gonna, what was drawn up exactly, or if they just did it on the fly. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Suzanne Rauch, 59327 Mountain Ash Court, Washington Township. First, I'd like to say a few words about my experience volunteering with the Romeo DDA. I've enjoyed going to the weekly meetings there for about 4 months with Elizabeth Miller and Madison Rausch, business owners, community leaders, Chamber of Commerce, and village employees. First, never underestimate the power of good coffee and bagels from Main Street Cafe. Thank you. Second, the space we are currently using allows everyone to sit at a table comfortably in a bright room, sharing ideas, making plans for the exciting events that so many people have enjoyed these past months in downtown Romeo. One business owner walks over from just next door, and other meeting participants simply walk upstairs. And some of the tools and resources of the meetings are often just a few steps away, allowing for an efficient meeting and uninterrupted flow of ideas, which results in a good use of everybody's valuable time. Another topic I'd like to speak on is Marketplace Alley. It's a beautiful, valued, visible public space available to the community every day. It is the front porch of downtown Romeo, prominently located on Romeo's Main Street. It is an enhancement. It is used to be one of the 4 car access points to the parking lot near the northeast corner of Main Street in St. Clair. There are now picnic tables, planter boxes, colorful art. The rewards of transforming this alley go way beyond just the space. It is now a place that nurtures the community and brings people together. Marketplace Alley is an extension of the community. It is a space where people can gather and walk. It is where friends run into each other and people interact with each other. It encourages volunteerism. Myself, a senior citizen, formed a 5-piece volunteer band that we shared music. We shared our music during Downtown Day last September for several hours. There are young people from the high school and elementary school students volunteering, creating art. Closing the alley to car traffic improves pedestrian safety. It's a place that is safe for pedestrians
20
that
seconds, Susan.
that are going to and from the other businesses that surround the parking lot. The parking lot currently has 3 other access points. It doesn't need an access point onto Main Street that crosses the crosswalk, and it's a danger to pedestrians. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Thanks, Susan.
Hello, Zach Hayes, 7378 Eastland Court, Washington, Michigan. I've been on the DDA board now for about 8 years, serving alongside President Poznansky, so I can speak to her commitment to our board during that time. However, I do understand there are some concerns about our lease, and that's on your agenda for tonight. My ask from this board would be, before any decision is made, if possibly it could be tabled and we could have an opportunity, whether a subcommittee is formed on your behalf to take a look at that lease as it stands today. The scope of our use has certainly changed since that was originally put in place. And it would make for a great opportunity to take a look at that again because, you know, whether it means we should pay more of a fair share for what we're using for the space or have a more defined space, I think that would be an appropriate time to do so. Our board is definitely committed to working with the village here. As recently as just a few months ago, you know, our board voted unanimously to provide funds up to $500,000 to help the village acquire property. And I think there's definitely opportunity for more shared cost projects that we've kind of set the precedent for. So just knowing that that's coming to you guys today to look at, I think my ask would be that we just kind of work on it together and find a collaborative solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach.
Thanks, Zach.
Greg Tar, 64427 Kildare, Washington Township. My interest, I have a number of pieces of property in the downtown development district. And like Zach, I serve on the board and have for a couple of years. And I know there's been a lot of discussion recently about this lease from the last meeting. And I guess I wanted to take an opportunity to publicly ask if now, since Megan, you know, you served on that board alongside us for a number of years and on the village council board for a number of years. And I'm just curious if you've come up with a rationale that you could publicly share why it was important that that lease gets terminated, whereas before you seemed to be all in favor of it for a number of years, and it seemed to work well with another government body. So I'd certainly yield some time for you to answer that if you wanted to, or I could certainly set up some office hours with you to come by and hear that, because I know that your campaign was run on a lot of transparency, and there's a lot of folks watching this tonight and have asked me these questions to find these answers, and I'm interested in myself because, as Zach has pointed out, we've partnered in a lot of ways with the village with, you know, our time, our money, our resources, and it seems to be weird that a lease is terminated with another government body. So if there's a time we could get an answer to that, and why that's been such a high priority within your first 90 days of office. You spoke of protecting the village from something, and you haven't told any of us yet that I know of what you're protecting us from. So I'm interested in knowing that. If there's a vandal or a nefarious person lurking about that's causing discord, certainly would like to hear about it so we could be on our toes about that. So perhaps with the little bit of time I have left, you could answer some of that, or we could set up some office hours. I'd be glad to do that. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Then are we going to still leave it open for people to address different topics that they come up, or is it just?
No, public comment time is right now. We will conduct business from here on out.
Jessica Newby. I am a new owner of the Romeo Soda Fountain in town. I would like an answer. Why? In front of all these people, in front of the camera. Why such a rash decision in terminating the lease of the DDA? Could you answer for me now, please?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Is there a reason for that?
When we get to that point in the agenda, we'll speak about it.
Okay.
Thanks, Jessica.
Any other public comments at this time? Okay, hearing none, we are closing public comment. Officer reports. Anybody? Fowler?
No, we haven't had any planning commission meetings, and so far the public is satisfied with your administration.
Trustee Parker.
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Trustee Bartholomew.
Yeah, actually, I'm hearing the exact opposite, Zach.
That's because you're in a different
It's
crowd of
been, I'm
people.
sorry,
You know.
I'm sorry.
Hold on.
Yes.
Let's, Trustee Bartholomew has the floor, please.
And I could name people, but I just want everyone to know that it's been, there's been a lot of ugly things going on since she's taken office, and it's not good. That's all I have.
Trustee Edwards.
I'll pass right now.
Okay. Trustee Rousseau.
Welcome.
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to the community and the folks that have voted for me and entrusted me to be a representative for them. I do have an email. It's on the village website. You're welcome to email me at any time, and I look forward to the next 4 years. I look forward to the next 4 years being productive and focused and teamwork and leaving out everything else. In the meantime, since I have taken on this role, I have attended the Washington Township Veteran Memorial Dedication, which was really beautiful. If you haven't seen it yet, head on down there and take a look. It was interesting, and I learned that NASA is now part of Veteran Memorials, so they have a monument there as well. I walked in the Parks and Rec Santa Parade, escorting him into town, and that was a lot of fun, and a lot of children, and a lot of joy. Appreciated that opportunity. And I was invited to meet with Elizabeth Miller, who is the executive director of the Downtown District Authority, and she welcomed me, and we had a discussion, and she passed on some information to me. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, do we have Treasurer Miller here?
She's back there.
Come on up. Oh, sorry. That's okay. Just kidding. First, my name's Caroline. Thank you all for whoever for voting for me, even though I ran unopposed. Still appreciate the votes. In my first few weeks as treasurer, I've been getting organized and getting used to the day-to-day duties. I did have the opportunity to work with Sherry for a couple of weeks before she left, and that was a lot of help, and she really showed me around her office and everything that she does on a daily basis, so much appreciated, Sherry, if you're listening tonight. Rebecca and Danielle have also been a great help in getting me acclimated to those duties, also greatly appreciated. I attended the Macomb Partners Luncheon last week, as well as the State of the County Address. Both of these events were informative and interesting and a lot of fun, and it was a pleasure to be able to attend. I am registered for the winter workshop for new treasurers in January. This is with the Macomb Municipal Treasurers Association, and I'm looking forward to that so I can learn as much as I can, and I'm looking forward to working with everyone for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thanks, Caroline.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Clerk Trapp.
Yes, I too also on December 7th attended the State of the County Address at Macomb Community College. On December 9th, I attended the Emma Awards put on by the Greater Romeo Washington Chamber of Commerce. Congratulations to Romeo Family Restaurant for receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award. On December 13th, I attended the Macomb Partners Christmas Luncheon put on by Macomb County Planning and Economic Development. The Village of Romeo was actually mentioned in 2 different presentations throughout the luncheon for their efforts for the growing of the downtown area. And the village has had a lot of Santa's Little Helpers helping with the letters to Santa in our newly repainted letterbox. I apologize, I don't have the artist's name right now to recognize her for the great artwork for updating their letterbox. But due to Santa's busy schedule, tomorrow, Tuesday, December 20th will be the last day to drop off any letters. That is my report.
And that would be Stephanie Felchek.
Thank you.
Is who painted the mailbox. And President's report. So I was sworn in on November 23rd and jumped right into the position that day, walking downstairs after being sworn in and getting in the office. Since that time, I've been taking the time to meet with staff, all of the staff from supervisors down to all of our office workers. I've been trying to grasp the learning of my duties and responsibilities as president over these last few weeks. I've had the assistance of Clerk Trapp to lead the way a little bit there, and I appreciate that, Catherine. I did attend the Santa Parade on December 1st and walked alongside Trustee Rousseau as we handed out prizes to the children, and was able to, myself along with Supervisor Philbrook, welcome Santa to Romeo and hand out the key to the communities together. And I want to say thank you to everyone that helped make that event happen. There was a lot of hours, especially Jason Arnott, Ruth Heidelbrecht. There was a lot of effort there. Parks and Rec, thank you, everybody. Your efforts don't go unnoticed or unappreciated. Then on December 7th, I also had the honor to attend the state of Macomb County representing the Village of Romeo. Mark Hatkel there gave a shining update of our Macomb County, and then we were followed by what everybody actually goes for. He lets us know that. We all know that, is the strolling appetizers from all of the Macomb County vendors. And we are open on Fridays. If you haven't noticed, the Village Hall has been open the past 3 Fridays since I've taken office. We will continue to be open on Fridays now, Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. At this time, Fridays are regular hours. We've conversed that possibly come summer, they might condense a little bit. People are out of town by Thursday. Let's face it, we're all going up north or somewhere for the weekend. So that might change over time depending on the season. For right now, we will be open on Fridays. I have had the opportunity to the Michigan Infrastructure Council, MIC, has a program where they explain or they teach asset management for communities. And I've been awarded a grant to be able to take this training. So starting in January till March, I will be taking training in how to best take care of our assets and manage them. And from there, that is what I have.
Can I ask a question? What does assets refer to? The buildings or the?
All the assets. All the assets. We're going to learn. Okay, moving on. Is that it? Committee reports? We don't have any committees at this time, do we? Okay, so moving into unfinished business, we have our first is the crosswalk approaches. This was an item requested by Trustee Parker. He requested that we have Roe here, so we have Paul O'Meara from Roe here to answer any questions. Take it away.
Thank you for coming, Paul. So going through everything and looking on the project unfolded, especially, I mean, Mr. McMahon has pointed out too, that slope in front of the Masonic, the planter box. Was that planter box originally part of this project?
Yes, it was.
It was. And I guess at what point, before we're pouring concrete, did we not realize that it was going to be such a severe slope and we were going to have that tremendous step down there?
Yeah, the step unfortunately was something that we had designed differently. We had expected that there would be more slope on both the above it and below it. And when the contractor got there, they didn't feel comfortable installing it the way we designed it, unfortunately. And a lot of decisions were made kind of at the last minute as kind of a, let's get this done, because everybody felt as though they were in a rush to get it accomplished quickly, and I wasn't aware that they were changing it. So we ended up with something that's not acceptable.
So the contract, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Zach. No.
So the contractor reviewed your spec before he started this, and he was uncomfortable with the spec after that point?
Well, unfortunately, it tends to be kind of a routine thing with the industry, that obviously the contractor doesn't have time to study everything to real close detail when they submit their price.
But he's charging us money for the changes.
They're not charging money for that particular change. That's for other changes.
Yeah, so I guess, yeah, it's alarming that it got to that point. And I thought, with the contract, I think it was with you guys to have the on-site daily supervision of the project. I just, how do we fix it? I mean, what do we do? I mean, putting up just a guardrail, and it just doesn't seem sufficient. It doesn't seem like a good end after all this money was invested.
Well, we had a meeting out there between the Masonic Temple and some village representatives and myself, and there's various ideas that could be done, but I don't think it was felt that a decision should be rushed into. I think that the village staff wanted to have more time to think about it and work through. And it was also getting near the election, and we thought there might be some changes in the future, so I think that they didn't want to rush into a decision. So that decision hasn't been made yet, but I'm certainly welcome to help with that decision if there's other questions, because there are some different options.
Yeah, I just feel like a lot of money went into a project, and now we're stuck.
We didn't
We're
get
gonna
the
fork
big.
over more money to
Yeah.
fix something.
Yep.
When we could have just pumped the brakes before we poured concrete.
Exactly.
And came to a better resolve. And I don't mean to put you on the spot individually, if you're saying the contractor went ahead and did it on his own accord, that's
Well,
that's
there
a
was,
problem.
well, I will say there was representatives from our company there, and they, as a group, made that decision, but unfortunately, I personally wasn't a part of that.
So, I guess,
I'm curious about the project over on, in front of Mr. Tarr's building, as far as that sewer line. Isn't that something that we, our DPW, and you should have checked that out before excavating started?
Yes, well, if it wasn't working, yes, we should have checked it out. I wasn't aware that it wasn't working. I had some conversations with the staff, and my impression was that the catch basin that was there had failed. It was definitely a trip hazard. And so when they said there was a problem, I thought that was what the problem was. So it's certainly in my plans, we were going to address that trip hazard. But I was not aware that the
wasn't
village
hooked
was
up,
living
right.
with a sewer that didn't work.
It wasn't until they opened it that they discovered
it
more and
was
more
hooked up
issues.
without 20 feet or something, I think was what we discussed that day out there on site, and then it just wasn't hooked to anything, right?
It was covered
Yeah,
over?
Yeah, it's kind of a strange situation both there and at Lafayette, that the village doesn't have records of how the sewers were laid out. So I tried to research that with the county since it's their jurisdiction, and they didn't have records either. It's an odd situation.
The other question, right in the same area, we have something here about a cost share with Mr. Tarr
Yes.
for work done. How does that work? And I guess why is the village paying monies, unless we needed to, for work on his property?
Well, I'm just speaking for what I heard from previous President Malzahn, was that the village was asked to see if they could address, since we were right there in the area, the very rough pavement that existed just to the north of the work area there. So we came up with a solution where you could take out, obviously, more pavement and replace it. And it was felt that the part that's in the road itself should be village responsibility, and then the part that's in the parking area, if you will, would be Mr. Tarr's responsibility.
And that is why I included farther back in the budget amendments, there's a couple emails, one to me and then one to Christine, that he went over explaining that, short of printing them off and putting them in the packet twice. He does go into detail explaining that at the amendment. I just stuck it in that part.
Yeah, I saw the
I've seen
amendment, I
that,
just
it's just
didn't know if it was necessarily something the village had to do or pay for at that time, because I think we were just doing the approaches and the crosswalks. I didn't know we were getting into paving parking lots.
sewer repairs.
No, it was not something that had to be done. It was a decision that was made to voluntarily do it.
That was an addition, as it gets.
Yes.
That was not the initial scope of work. That
And
was an
then that
addition.
never came back to this board for approval on spending that additional funds.
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that village representatives were involved in that issue. Which representatives were you meeting with that were involved in deciding what to do with that issue in front of Masonic?
Oh, the step issue? Ms. Miller was there, and I don't recall anybody else. At the time, I think that,
Regarding the.
yeah, I apologize, I can't remember if anybody else was there.
Okay. So, because you mentioned a couple times you met with village representatives. So when you had to problem solve at that corner or sort of figure out what to do, it wasn't DPW or the president or trustees or?
No, I think, again, I'm going from memory, but I think the president was out of town that particular day that the Masonic wanted to meet, and I don't know why the DPW wasn't there.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if it's the same time that you were there. I think it was, but I was there. I think we were looking at if there was going to be enough room for strollers and stuff like that. So I don't know, but I was there once for a meeting.
Oh, where we were testing out how big a bike
Yeah.
would sit
yeah,
there? Yes.
Yeah, there was a group of people, yep.
Yeah, I think it was decided at that meeting that a bike rack probably was not the best idea because it would take up too much space.
Right.
And then, I'm not sure if you're privy, or we haven't gotten to it yet, but the portion that represents a private business, are you billing that directly to that private business owner?
No,
Or-
we're not in the ability to bill. That will be up to the village to bill.
Yeah, what we will do is the village will cover the cost, we will front the money, and then we will invoice Mr. Tar ourselves.
Okay, thank you.
Is that how it is set up, or that's how you're setting it up?
That is how it was set up for
It
me.
was set up like that? Okay. That's the way it goes.
So I guess moving forward, do we continue to look into ways to resolve or how to fix this? Do we form a subcommittee, meet with the engineer, do something to get to a final decision by the board on what we're gonna do or how we're gonna correct the issues? I don't know if that non-slip surface, I don't know, I've never heard of it, so I don't know if that's working or is the longevity of that, is that gonna have to be replaced every so many years? Are we gonna continue to have problems?
Again, that was something that was kind of sprung on me too. Do you know the answers to those questions?
It is a heavy-duty surface. It's kind of designed for like bridge decks and parking structures where you've got a waterproofing element, but you also want a rough surface because it can get slippery when you're on a bridge.
Mhm.
So my understanding is it will have a long lifespan, like 20 years. But eventually, obviously, it will need to be addressed.
Megan, is there anything else out there that we need to be aware of? You just indicated that the payment process for that private property was already set up. Is there anything else that you have talked with the engineer about that we don't know about that might pop up?
Everything we've talked about is in the email. We've maybe gone a little bit farther in depth, but as my understanding is, we're still technically under budget in the project. We're just over budget of what we were expecting. So, I mean, there's still the upside to that.
Right hand is heavier than the left, huh?
So, yeah. It's up to this board if you want to continue down this avenue, figuring out what we want to do with that step. And we do have, I'm not going to say it's a $5,000 credit, because the way that it's in there, it's not necessarily a credit. You invoice us, but you're going, not you, MDOT, right? Will pay $5,000 left, leaving that money there for us to use to fix the issue. Should it be let, then they will use that either way to give back to us. So it's not like we get $5,000. It's going to be sitting there waiting for us to fix the issue with it.
Well, just to correct, that is Ro's offer, not
Right.
MDOT.
Okay.
Okay.
Mark, question. Now that we've kind of admitted that, you know, we're putting this non-slip surface in, we're saying we know there's an issue here, does that put the village in any type of legal liability for if something does happen there now, where we've admitted there's a problem and we've tried to fix it, but if someone slips and falls, I mean, what's going to happen? What could happen?
Well, what could happen, I could explain probably for the rest of the meeting, but I'll try to avoid that.
You got 2 minutes.
First of all, you have a couple of issues. One is you have governmental immunity for accidents that happen, speaking very broadly, on public property or during the use of public property. The other aspect of it is in Michigan, slip and fall used to be a big source of income for lawyers, and along with auto accidents and other things where people unfortunately get hurt. Recent opinions from the appellate courts in Michigan have just about determined that every slip and fall is open and obvious. If you were at Kroger and one of the displays leaked water and there was a puddle on the floor and you slipped and fell, you might sue Kroger, and Kroger would come back and say, well, the puddle was huge, and it was an inch deep, and it's open and obvious. Same thing in parking lots at apartment buildings, stairwells, things like that. So many things have become open and obvious. Having said that, that doesn't mean that the village does not have any potential liability. The village always has potential liability for the use or misuse of its infrastructure. So one of your, I guess, immediate concerns is to determine or assess what is the degree of risk. We know, the village knows that there may be an issue with the slope. Is that slope unacceptably steep? Is it out of the ordinary for other slopes of a similar situation in a public setting? Does the fix, whether temporary or permanent, that's applied, is it realistic? Is it practical? Is it going to be effective? And so your analysis, I believe, has to be what is the village's risk of loss. I think there is a risk of loss there. I just can't tell you precisely what that risk would be. I think it is probably fairly modest, and now that I've said that, there'll probably be an injury and the worst thing will happen. But there is a risk, and the question becomes, and there's not a magical answer or a precise answer, the question becomes, what is the degree of the risk? And I don't know the answer to that, but I don't think it's without risk. I also don't think that the risk is tremendous, but there is a risk.
Thank you.
I did happen to stop by where they did the grinding or whatever they used to put the grooves in, and it seems like really, it's pretty grooved up, like, so you get good traction.
Yeah.
So I can't see someone slipping there. It's done pretty well.
Thank you. If I could add one more thing for you in terms of fearing about liability, we feel as engineers that there is no mistake there, that it is done to the best of our ability. So we can certainly defend that if there was a suit.
One last question to you then. Mr. McManus hit a question about was it originally were the steps supposed to be redone so that grade was lower there in front of the Masonic? And
No,
something about a handrail or?
No, we're not allowed to remove the steps because it's a historic building, and there was a historic state review of the entire project before we finished the design.
Okay.
I believe the handrail, didn't the handrail come in at where that step, that drop off, where the bike rack sits now? That's where a railing was going to go?
No, we did not plan a rail on the original design.
The original plans, like Sean was saying, that were on the, I think on the DDA website, it had discussed a handrail going in, talked about some brick pavers.
It's to remove and replace stairs.
Yeah, remove and replace stairs, handrails, brick pavers for different grade elevation stuff. That was all in the original project that I thought went out for bid. And
Okay, I haven't seen that document. I wasn't aware that there was ever any talk to do that.
okay. So, yeah, maybe we should, I don't know if we do a subcommittee or we just bring this back up on unfinished business and get some more answers and try to find a better resolve.
Well, I'm not sure in another month he'll have any different answers
Yeah.
than what his answers are.
Mhm.
If you guys want to if we would like to make a subcommittee to dig into it farther, that's our decision.
I'd be willing to try to meet with, either his phone call or whatever, and try to come up with
I'll join you.
a solution to the grade there, the step there.
Okay. I know it is, I was trying to find it in here, because I know you stated in one of your explanations, the percent of the grade that's acceptable, and this is just,
Over the, where
Yes, over
where
the-
new traction material is?
Right.
Yes. Well, the American Disabilities Act states that you can have up to 1 on 12 slopes to be within code. And when you've got a situation like we did here where you've got 2 fixed points and there's only so much change you can make to it, we had to meet the step at the top, and we had to provide a flat surface at the bottom before the curb at Newberry.
Mhm.
So we were fixed into what we could do. that you can exceed that slope, and we're at about 1.3% more than that.
So, and there are parameters where something like that is acceptable given the conditions. So that is how it is.
So it's probably like, what is that, like 15, 20% more than the maximum you could build anyways. So if we had built it per maximum, I would have recommended against putting something more traction on there. Because it does kind of draw attention to it.
Are we satisfied? Would you like to start an official committee here?
Yeah, I'll join you.
Yeah, me and Zach, would, if anyone else, have another one?
Okay.
Somebody from the residents?
What would you like a subcommittee to be called?
You want to join us?
Sidewalk project?
Yeah,
Shane,
Sean,
there we
he'll
go.
join us.
Crosswalk, maybe crosswalk and
Mr.
sidewalk
McManus will
might be
join us, too.
confusing with our sidewalk program.
Cool,
Crosswalk project,
sounds perfect.
we'll put trustee Parker, trustee Fowler into it,
Yeah, Mr.
and resident Sean McManus,
Yes.
and report back next month,
Sounds good.
Perfect.
see what we can do. Thank you,
All right,
Paul.
thank you, Paul. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, Paul.
Okay, B, under unfinished business, the resolution for the Lions Alley vacate. Let's see here. It was noticed that there were some miswordings in the one that was in our packet, so Clerk Trapp brought us a fresh one. We think we were trying to compare them. There's still a little bit of miswordings here. So this is on our agenda for the second time.
But what we have in front
What
of
are
us
you-
is still incorrect, even the new one? Is that what
The draft resolution.
it's incorrect? Is that what you're
There,
saying?
yes, there's some miswording there that if this resolution is passed, it needs to be passed with fixing some of the wording.
Is there an issue with tabling this?
I think we would have to put it back out in the newspaper, and this is our second time putting it in the newspaper. Would we have to put it back out again?
I don't believe you'd have to republish it.
Okay.
If you table it, if the publishing was effective at its inception, it's noticed for this meeting. If you table it, I think your prior actions are bootstrapped along with that, and I don't think that you would have to republish it.
Okay. Yeah, because that's not cheap.
And we're confident the publication didn't have any of the date error or anything in it?
There was no dates in there, all the information in the
Okay.
publication is correct.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll make a motion to table resolution number 22-0020, confirming the vacating of the alley on the Lions until next month.
I'll second it.
Could you clarify vacating it or tabling it to get what now?
To having the draft resolution correct?
Okay. Just so we have it. Could you call roll call, please, Catherine? Sure.
Parker,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Rosso,
Yes.
Bartholomew,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
President Poznanski,
Yes.
motion carried. 6-0.
Okay, moving on to C, Bruce sewer request. This one, let me see what it, so this is just coming back onto our agenda here. We had dissolved that subcommittee, not hearing anything from Bruce. Then Bruce spoke up and said, hey, we do want to talk about this. So here we are. So I included in our packets what I could find. This letter from Mrs. Malzahn to Mr. Philbrook. Specifically, if you look at the back of it, she requests certain things from Bruce. I don't know if these were ever delivered. I don't know if this, you, Matt, or Justin might have any
I think they did
input on
come
that?
back with us on some of the stuff. In one of our meetings, their engineer had chimed in and, or they had documentation from their engineer stating that the lift station was good and da-da-da-da.
So let me read it just so the people.
Yes.
So additionally, we are requesting that an engineered analysis of all infrastructure, including all equipment currently in use that operates the Bruce Township Lift Station, introducing the existing and future proposed effluent into the wastewater treatment plant from Bruce Township, be conducted by the township. This is to ensure that the additional flows from the township would not exceed the limitations of those assets.
So a little, I guess, more info on this. This was back when we originally started.
Yeah, this
The
is
whole process.
November of
And it went back
21.
and forth, and Bruce had gotten up to almost an additional, I think, 500 they were looking for. And we're going back and forth, waiting for all this information. And then they lowered the request for more of an immediate or a quicker 100.
Well, they kept upping the whole the whole thing.
Yeah.
But they needed a quick response on
the
a
100.
smaller amount.
Yeah, on the 100. So that's what we drafted and presented to them, which they just,
Is that what this is?
that's not,
is that
yes,
something
that's
else?
not the letter. The letter was prior to that. That's when they were
No,
asking for.
then I included the
Yes.
Third Amendment agreement for,
Yes, that's what we collaborated on and offered them.
okay. And then,
Or not offered, because we didn't have board support. We just
technically,
threw it over to see what they'd say.
you and I were at that meeting for Bruce Township. They had a lot of questions regarding this and concerns. So that's where I go, do we continue? Does this board want to continue to negotiate? Do we want to continue down this path with Bruce Township? Time is of the essence for them, so I don't feel like if we're not truly interested, let's not pretend and, walk.
Has Mr. Fulbrook reached out to you since we were at the meeting with any additional request from Bruce?
No.
Bruce has reviewed this, Mark?
Their board has it.
They have not?
No, they have it.
They've
They have
reviewed it, but they didn't make a motion or anything on it.
And they're clear on the assignments. I mean, they can't make a deal with Armada Township and say, this is our capacity, like they tried to do before. We're all
Right, but
clear
that's
that-
something, that's different topic, though.
The feel I got from them being
it's
at
on
the
here.
meeting with you was that they
But-
wanted to have questions and
Because this would-
negotiation.
Right, and they've been through this, time and time again. I mean, they were after us for hot and heavy. All of a sudden, they had to have, information, and then all of a sudden, it went dead.
Dead, exactly.
And for months, it went dead.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, they're asking for us
Yeah.
again for hot and heavy.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm still, and I think the committee was in favor of working with them to sell them some additional capacity, per the, stated in the letter here.
Do we truly want to, because this talks about potential of expansion of the facility. Is that something truly that,
Well, we're gonna be running up against the limits of the facility,
Right,
yes.
right.
And so that if they need any more capacity beyond what they're asking for, yes, we would have to expand the facility. And at that point, then.
I think the language in there kind of puts any additional expansion for their needs would be at their cost.
it puts a lot of onus
We
on
wouldn't
them,
put it back
and
on
that
the
was,
residents.
that was a lot of their hesitation that they spoke about at that meeting that we attended. And that's where I'm saying, if we are truly stuck to this, they aren't happy with this.
Well,
Do we want to negotiate it?
for them right now. Because we
Are we
don't
good with
have
this,
our
Matt?
own,
Matt,
park filled out.
I'll make a motion if we're good with it.
If we,
Okay.
part of what this was, in setting these parameters, was that we had to
Sit down.
save room for our own industrial park.
Right, right,
And, for future potential growth there, whatever would be left.
in our annex.
So, anything beyond, like I say, what they're asking for here, we'd have to expand the plan.
Okay, so would it be correct to say, let's reinstitute our subcommittee and continue negotiations? Is that,
That's fine, fine with me.
I'm good with that.
okay?
I mean, I did watch the meeting, and you told them you were willing to work with Bruce and all that, and that's good. So they were not happy with what we presented them last. So I think that they should we're having that information come back to us with what they want.
That's a good suggestion.
Go ahead, ma'am.
The problem was, as they started out, when this whole thing started, what, a year ago?
At least.
Or more?
Yeah.
I mean, they came in and, okay, we want this capacity. 6 months later, we want this capacity. And they want this capacity. And they want this capacity. So every time you talk to them, they want more capacity.
And then we had to
Well,
regather information.
you know, we've got to, again, reserve capacity quantities for our own industrial park.
Right.
And so if they want to keep raising that bar, I guess every time I ask them, or we ask them, the number gets
They want
higher.
more, okay.
So we've got to, say, no, this is it, this is the top end of it.
Okay, Mr. Clark, do you have anything to weigh in on as far as this goes?
No, if you want to engage with them again, you certainly should do that. If you don't, then you don't. I would recommend if you want, and I think that this was mentioned just a moment ago by one of the trustees, is if Bruce Township is dissatisfied with what was presented to them, to have them respond with what changes they would suggest or make in the proposed amendment. Otherwise, you're bidding and negotiating against yourself. You're presenting them with something, and they say no, and you come back and say, well, how about this? And they say no. That is not, to me, an ideal negotiating position. If they're interested, you can let them know you are and ask them to respond with what they would like to see in the proposed amendment.
But I would say, as a committee, we are interested, yes.
Sure.
And they did have specific questions, specific issues to the different things.
So we have to,
So can we?
motion to reform the subcommittee?
Reform the subcommittee. I can jump on that with you guys now that there's
I'll
one
second
less.
that motion. He just made it.
It was Justin, myself, and President, so.
And I can reach out to Mike, let him know that we're interested, and we can figure out.
And will you
Sooner than later.
be submitting this as far as our interest, like Mark said?
No.
So you're gonna
That
draft something?
that is the jumping off point at this. That was the start of what the committee started
Bruce
with.
Township has this.
They have this?
Yes.
Bruce Township has
Okay.
this.
So
As
something
is
to
a
work with.
draft.
The proposed third amendment. Bruce Township has it.
I think they'll come back quickly to Zach, to your point.
Yeah, time is of the essence to them. They would like capacity sooner than later, especially if an agreement cannot be reached. They need to know what other path to go down, again, sooner than later.
So, motion to reform the subcommittee, the Bruce Township Sewer Capacity, or I'm not sure what we were officially called, but
Sewer Subcommittee.
Sewer
Second.
Subcommittee.
Can we do a roll, do you want to, just all in favor, okay? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on, the DDA continued alley closure request. We received a letter from Executive Director Elizabeth Miller requesting the alley closure that would have ended next week, December 31st, to be postponed and pushed out to the end of February, which is February 28th. I included her letter in the packet. Do we have questions or a motion?
I'd make a motion to go ahead and extend that date out to the end of February.
Support?
Any discussion?
So I guess I'm at a point where if we're just going to keep looking to extend it for events that get planned, known after the alley was supposed to be opened back up, this is twice now, we either got to close it or open it, one way or the other. I mean, just to keep extending it doesn't make any sense to me. I think if we continue with opening it back up end of the year, and then if we give like we've done in the past, the temporary closure for the Winterfest event. Personally, that's where my mind would be on it.
Well, and one of the board members did say that, like, we need, the DDA board was speaking that we need to make a decision. We either need to ask for this to be permanently closed or stop asking, let it be open.
Yeah.
So they did express that. And it is in the last sentence. It is the desire of the DDA to come before Village Council in February with a recommendation to either reopen the alley or to request permanent closure. So that is a similar frustration
I
that,
think the problem, one of the problems, well, it's not really a problem because the events are great and there's always a good turnout. So once we go to say, hey, let's close, well, we got this coming up and the kids just painted all the picket fence, which could be enjoyed throughout the winter. So it's just like, we're becoming such a busy downtown that it's nice to have when we need it for things like the festivals, so.
I would just say, have not been in favor of the closure, still not in favor of it, especially permanently. To do a temporary here or there, but all of our businesses are not on board. We have one specific business who has made it a point to come and say that it is hurting his business. So that is where my stance is.
Yeah, I was in there 2 Sundays ago, and I don't know if I want to say begging was the word I want to use, but when is this going to open? He kept asking me, and I didn't have an answer for him. Can I ask, I don't know, John, did you guys talk about going to, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, to meet with these business owners? I thought you were going to go with Elizabeth and have a conversation with them, everyone in that area. I think that was what you guys just talked about at the last meeting. Has that happened yet?
That's exactly right. No, it's not happened. Time just it has not been, you haven't been able to pull that together with the different people
Okay.
we would have to speak to. That is sort of part of what in the letter we're asking for that extra time for, is so that, again, I think Megan may have just read that last sentence, at which point, is it February 28th? That's going to have to be our deadline to have
Yeah.
those meetings with the line.
I guess, I mean, we know he's been here, he's talked to me, he's talked to other people personally. I think we should just make a decision one way or the other based on the information we have. I don't think it needs to be kicked down the road any farther.
My biggest problem.
The alley, we'll say kicked down the alley.
My biggest problem is the safety. When it was open, the people would fly down there, and it's a one-way, but they would always come up the other way, too. They didn't care. Like Suzanne said, there's 3 other entrances, and I just don't like the safety aspect of it, because it is dangerous.
Yeah. I guess, to
hurts its
piggyback
business.
off that, I think that was something the county had suggested, and I think, Elizabeth, I think you had mentioned that the other alley they'd want to close would be the one there by the gun shop. So, I mean, if we're going to look at closing alleys for safety, do we look at closing that alley then also? Because that was another one that you said the county had pointed out with being so close to the main intersection and the fast turn.
Well, a lot of people that pull in there, though, they're pulling into a parking spot, most of them, to go to Little Caesars.
I respect
It's
it, but
not, it's
something
not
that
just
the
a
county had
runway
said
like
for
the other
safety.
ones. The other one's just a runway.
But they're apples to apples.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot of alleys, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that one goes back into the credit union parking lot, and a lot of people walk back in there also. So,
That alley wasn't part of the conversation.
you had brought it up.
Not with the county, it was never part of the conversation.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that's what you said, I apologize, that
No,
they
it was the one.
were questioning the alleys being so close to the intersection, you specifically mentioned that alley.
Okay, well, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have any more discussion?
Well, I was just going to point out that we also have a new parking lot downtown, and we also have an enhanced new park. So we didn't have those resources before when that alley was closed. So there are additional resources to host people, and a beautiful new park to do that.
Okay.
So we have a motion, right, on the table?
Yes.
Would you call the roll? Are
Can
we
you please repeat the
discussed?
motion for me?
The motion was to extend until the end of February the closure of the alley.
February 28th.
28th? I think that's what they have there.
Yeah.
Edwards?
Yes.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
Rosso?
Yes.
Parker?
No.
Fowler?
Yes.
President Poznanski?
No.
42? Motion carries.
It's not being temporary.
Item E, the DDA Winterfest event request.
So on this one, I know we corrected the motion I made from last month. still, I think we were supposed to have a map for the 5K here.
We do have a very long, intensive map. The police chief has written it out. I didn't include it. It was like 8 pages. So there is a map. I apologize.
Okay.
Reading the minutes as they were, it sounded like we approved that, so I didn't think that
no, it
needed to be
was-
included.
Yeah, it was just the event, or the.
So
the run.
just so you know, he has signed off on that. It's very detailed.
You're comfortable, chief?
I'm comfortable with whatever the village wants to do, I just like it.
Well, your years of wisdom and knowledge with the, traffic and everything and safety of pedestrians, I would.
The only main street that would be closed down would be North Main from 32 Mile Road to Gate Street,
Okay.
and there would be a detour down Morgan Street. And
Okay.
from talking to the coordinator, I believe he said it would be about an hour, hour and a half.
Would you like to step to the podium now?
Yes, please. Yes.
And it would be a Saturday morning, so.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Could you restate the question? Was it regarding the time, the timing of the?
How long the road will be
Yes.
closed?
Yeah, so we are looking with Coach Bustle, we're looking for it to be a maximum of 3 hours. He has not gotten back to me whether he wants to start at 8 or 9 a.m., but I'm pretty sure it's a 9 a.m. start date. From start to close, he estimates it to be about an hour and a half for the whole closure on that. So we're not looking for a Main Street closure at all for the event, just like last year.
Just for the run?
Correct, it's just for,
the
yeah,
run,
just close to the run.
3 hours roughly?
Roughly, correct,
Okay.
yes. Mhm.
And also, I thought, were you going to bring back like a list of events and stuff that was happening? And I think we were waiting to see if your board was going to approve the
Yeah.
funding and expenditures for everything?
Sure. So from the last council meeting, I went back and thought about that, and like the event permit that we need to do, from my understanding of doing them in the past, and then President Pansnansky and I, looked over everything. My understanding is we don't need to have, the event permit is for barricades, road closures, for cones being used, parking spaces being consumed and whatnot. And so that's why she and I initialed the changes on it, and so that's what you see before you. But I'd be happy to tell you all about it.
I'm sure
We got
you
some
will at some
awesome
point.
stuff, but no, there's a big agenda, so you don't want to hear me go whack
But
along.
So your board is fully on board with this and?
Absolutely.
Of funding and? everything's
Correct.
taken care of?
Yep. Our
Cool.
2023 events calendar and our banner schedule was unanimously approved by my board, correct, Zach? It was unanimous, wasn't it? Okay. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the Romeo Winterfest 2023 on February 4th. Event time from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. is what I see here, and with an addition to the 5K run, possibly starting at 8 or 9, with the road closures for up to 3 hours.
Just me.
Support?
And if you'd like, I could tell you what the route is.
He'll run it for you.
I know. I'll drive you.
If you want to, I will run the event with you. I know Nate, you talked about, you used to run 5Ks.
Thinking about it.
Maybe we should all get out there and,
It will start on Main Street in front of Main Street Cafe. It's gonna go north on Main to Gates, east on Gates to McVicker, south on McVicker to Fairgrove, over to Bailey, down Bailey to Newbury, back to Main, up Main to Hollister, Hollister over to, where do you go from Hollister?
so it sounds like we're keeping this all
Back
internal
Main.
in the village. I thought we were talking about, initially, you were gonna take it out towards
Yeah, no,
Powell
we're
or
keeping it
something,
all in
right?
the village.
No, no, never at that, no, the whole point
Okay.
in doing events in downtown is to keep people downtown. So,
no,
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
always
the one,
been
though, I mean, they're
that.
coming back, you know.
Yeah.
They're not just gonna go out to the industrial park and hang out.
Hollister goes to Prospect, down to Church Street, then over to Chandler, up Chandler to Minot, and then back to Prospect, to Turner, Turner back to Main Street, finish back down where we started.
Awesome.
And there'll be a snowman dash for the little ones right before the main event kicks off. So.
Maybe we can get in on that one.
Yeah, I'll do that one instead.
Yes, yeah, so just to reiterate what the police chief just said, the high school cross-country team and the track team will be manning all of the different intersections and whatnot, so.
Yeah, my
So-
motion stands.
Go Evan Lamb.
Just a side note, you may have already thought of this, with it being February, you've coordinated with whoever you need to as far as salting, or plowing, or?
We will, absolutely.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
thought there,
Yeah.
but the-
Yeah, they're really excited about the event because there's very few that happen this time of year, and in the cross-country community, they love it, so.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Do we need to call a roll, or would, all in favor, good? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. On to new business,
Dun, dun, dun.
the really fun one. I say facetiously. Thank you. The DDA lease. I've included this on here. I'm asking this board to end the DDA lease with the village.
Why?
I would make a motion to give the DDA a 30-day notice and termination of the current lease agreement that is in place, dated July 15th, 2019.
I would support that. And now,
Why are we doing this?
now a discussion, thank you. So,
I'd go off this. I mean, Madam President, if you don't mind me saying, listening to the young lady earlier, she said that basically it's a distraction. She didn't say a distraction, but it's just my thought. It's a distraction in the office. As she said, you just simply walk upstairs, uninterrupted flow going through. Plus, we had the ransomware attack. No telling what was left open. Taxpayers had to foot the bill, or the insurance company, but still taxpayer money regardless of what's going on. And then we got the current thing coming at us, the late Bruce Township fees, which is another thing. Was it too busy in that office for someone to remember to pay the bill? I mean, all the distractions going on.
Her office is upstairs.
But you gotta still a flow going through it, which doesn't need to be in the office.
She uses the stairs outside the
All right,
building.
well, it's my motion. I put the motion out there. And I just gave a few reasons why I think it shouldn't be. That's my motion.
no,
I
it should not, it's a fire exit, it should not be used.
I missed what, you said some lady said something about there's a lot of.
No, I just said the young lady just spoke earlier,
Which young lady?
she just, the
public
lady with the
comment, she
glasses, I'm
spoke
sorry, in
about-
public comment. She just said,
I
you
would
just simply walk up, go upstairs.
I
and-
thought she was saying it was a positive thing that they were all
Well,
working together.
it's positive in one sense, but it's a distraction in the other.
So,
And you're
in,
blaming the ransomware problem on
And,
the
hey,
DDA.
open office is an open office, whether people come and go. It happened, period. And the
Well,
village had to pay.
I have
period.
I have a lot of respect for Lisa Hall, and I know there was times that she was working there by herself on Fridays.
Lisa was working one day a week.
On Fridays by herself, and
One day.
there was no problem then.
Was it one day?
And did you vote for us to go to have the DDA in the offices, village
yeah,
offices?
I did at that
I made a
time.
vote for that.
And now that I am here with a different hat on to be your village president and to look out for our assets, to look out for our information and our employees. In being in that office, I see that it's just not conducive as a rental space. It's not conducive to anybody as a rental space. I would not offer this space, remove the DDA, and then put it back out on the market for somebody else. You do have to walk through our office to go upstairs. And there are social security numbers. There is personal information out, easily available if it's not out on a desk. You can't just lock everything up. When this lease was initially put into effect, when I voted for it, it was for one day a week. The person worked 8 hours. So on the 4 days a week, when we had meetings, our office space upstairs, where we utilize as meeting space, always open. Now we have to figure out how to have meetings Because not only do we have paper information, there's audible information being passed left and right between all of us. And when we have these meetings upstairs, and the office, the DDA seats are right there, because it has been added to, there's a couple of them now, we have to ask them to leave the room. So then, for how long do they have to leave a room? For how many times a day do we have meetings? How many times a week? It's just not conducive, and it's not a personal thing, it's not a DDA thing. It just doesn't work.
Well, I disagree, and I think it is a personal thing.
You have a vote. I agree.
You can disagree all you want.
Is there
And
a way
Elizabeth
you
Miller
can
is
see-
bonded,
Okay.
so there's no problem there.
Absolutely.
Is there a way that you feel that the lease could be rewritten to work with times and scheduling where maybe Elizabeth is, or the DDA director, I won't say Elizabeth because it's more about the position, is only there certain days of the week? You know, like you said, before it was 1 day a week. When this originally went into play, could it be she's in there 2 days a week or 3 days a week
But
during
aren't there
certain
two, I
timeframes?
didn't mean to interrupt, aren't there two staff members now? So I think if you went down that road, you'd have to accommodate for both of the staff members in that thought process.
Yeah, so definitely we'd need to look at the lease for just that aspect. Also, because it was originally one person, one office space.
Well, and think about it, the village taxpayers pay for the office to run, for all of the workers to do what we need to do, and all the staff to do it in a timely manner, and not have to juggle things around in order to do their job, right? So we want them to do the most for us, use their time wisely, and get the best bang for our buck.
Yeah.
Having just us there is the best use of that space.
Also, Madam President, that there was an increase in the general office budget by $17,000.
I don't think that's
I think-
DDA.
I think that was pretty much, after reading the lease, they have full usage of the papers, the machineries, everything that's there, so. My
Well, and it
motion
was
is
stated that
to
even
terminate
the past president was starting to look into it, that even she noticed that this isn't quite what this started out to be. Now that there's a new user at a different amount of time, maybe we need to relook at this. It just never got this far.
My motion is to terminate the existing contract as is.
I just think that the village and the DDA can work together.
Well, and
They do.
I don't know why
Well,
we wouldn't, just
why-
because
why
they
are we
would not
taking
be in our
personal attacks
office.
at 'em?
It's not a personal attack.
We always worked with the
Well, they
DDA
used
when they weren't in the office, and them not being in that office will not change that. I think,
So again, do you feel that there's a way to redo this lease with different scheduling that would work for both
you're
parties?
still open to, no, there's just too much information. Unless you're going to pour money into the building to change the configuration of offices and space and take, yeah, it just, and then that would be displacing our workers to the second floor.
Move the police department out, and put them in there, right, Chief?
Excuse me?
I said, move the police department out, then put them in there. You guys wouldn't mind?
There's the old holding cell at the
No.
Masonic.
As long as you don't move us too far.
Well, Madam President,
I just don't think there's an actual problem there at the village. I don't think people are, covering things up and, trying to hide things from Elizabeth Miller. And I don't think
Well, it's
Elizabeth
not
Miller
specifically
is going out of
Elizabeth.
her way to, look up documents and things like that.
No, it's not specifically Elizabeth, it's the people that are brought in. This lease talks to office space being used as only office, and it has not been used that way. There's meetings that are held at night with doors open, and nobody's downstairs to sit there and pay attention. When someone comes down to use a bathroom, anybody could be doing anything. Anybody could be walking in the front door.
What's that got
It's
to
a
do
safe-
with the DDA director?
It's not about the director. If that tenant wasn't in our space, this wouldn't be happening in our space. You or other people are making this a DDA director thing. It is not. This is a tenant that should not be in the space. We should not have a tenant, period.
two branches of the Romeo government working together.
We will not unwork together just because they're not in the office any longer. I've been on the DDA for 8 years.
Yes, I know.
Right.
Why would I not work with the DDA all of a sudden? I'm still on the committee. I've been committed to that committee many hundreds of volunteer hours.
Do you have a place where you would look for the DDA to then convene? Would you be?
That is up to the DDA board of where they would put their employee.
But if you want to work together, don't you think it's important that you find a space for them to meet?
No, that is not the president's job. That is up to the DDA board to find a spot.
But you're on
That
the
is why
board.
I offered beforehand, that's why I put this information out there earlier, thinking, hey, should this actually go down tonight, now you have extra time, not just 30 days. And that time wasn't utilized.
But it's expensive though to go find friends somewhere else.
Okay, I'm sorry, we're going to bring it back
Yes, it
in. Comments are over. This is for the
I have a
board to
motion.
discuss. Do we want to keep going?
She has a comment.
No, and public comment is over. Going to rein it back in. I apologize, I shouldn't have answered your question. Do we have any more discussion on the topic?
Yeah, I guess I'm still in favor of trying to find a way to work this lease.
Lease after this one. This one needs to be terminated.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Zach was commenting.
Sorry about that.
Justin, I'm not sure it's necessarily about the lease. I think the concept is great, and I think when it first came about, for one person, 8 hours a day, but they're growing by leaps and bounds. And, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, if they add 1 or 2 more other, staff members, then you've got to go back and look again at what space are they renting and, is it working?
can
So
respect
for
that.
me, it's not about adjusting the lease, because I think we could. I've done a lot of looking into this since this packet came out, and it's not about the lease itself, it's about the DDA growing and needing more space and the configuration of the offices. I mean, we barely fit the village staff in there, and I've been in meetings with the DDA up there. I've been in situations downstairs, working in the village area, and I can see both sides of it. So as much as it would be nice to redo the lease, I don't think that's what the real issue is. I think it's about.
As a safety issue.
I'm sorry, the public comment is over. Sorry, thank you.
I think, for me, there's a lot of other points that I looked into and tried to weigh back and forth. So as much as I want to support redoing the lease, the concept is great. I don't think realistically it's conducive.
I don't think they're going to be having any more, they're not going to be growing as far as employees in the near future, I don't.
It's just an example, Nathan. I'm trying to think of the big picture.
And I would then question, why is the DDA been growing leaps and bounds, and why are they being more prosperous and better things happening? Is it because that we've, as the village, as another government body in the village, we've helped with that by allowing them to have this space? And if we tell them, hey, now you gotta go find somewhere else, and you're gonna be paying 5, 6, 7, who knows, $1,000, $1,500 a month, what does that then do to the DDA?
Well, that's what was so good about what's going on right now, $50 a month.
Yeah, I mean,
For two
I'm not
people-
saying
for
that,
two little
that shouldn't
cubicles.
change, I'm not saying that shouldn't change, I mean, maybe it should be addressed.
I mean, that's just two entities working together.
But they'll work together no matter what, is
Of course
my, I mean, Elizabeth is dynamic, and I don't think,
think
I mean,
she'll
we
go
could
wherever
plop
she's
you in the middle of the four corners, Elizabeth, and you'd rock it, don't you think?
Well, I don't think the county would allow an office.
Oh, well. Yeah, I don't think, I'm not under the impression that that would change how you do your job. You're fantastic.
Asking me to speak to the podium or any of our board members to speak, because I want to respect the rules of.
I'm sorry, I opened that can of worms and addressed it.
If the board would like to ask questions, go ahead.
Well, I'm not sure, yeah, that is my question. What makes you think that your job wouldn't be as effective
if you weren't in that office.
So you want me to speak?
Yes, please. Can you
Yes.
come up and explain?
I think part of this conversation probably is more appropriate for some of my board members to speak to this, so I would ask that I be able to defer some of that to them, I think would be important. There's a wonderful organization called the Michigan Downtown Association, which the DDA are members of. So I put a survey out to my fellow DDA directors and to ask who shares municipality space and who doesn't. And then after that, I'm like, okay, now how much do you pay? And do you have secured entrances? How does this work? And I was surprised by some of the data that I got back. And 65% of the 25 directors that answered share space with their municipality. Over half of them pay no rent. One of them, actually, their director's salary is only, 10,000 of it is only paid by the DDA, the rest is paid by the village. And so I could get you that data later, I'd be happy to do that. And those that have the space within the municipality say there's a lot of collaborative work that happens. I mean, we've been doing this, I mean, when the, sorry, I'm trying to remember the name, when the building department, when Cindy is working on something and there's a new business that comes in, hey, is this a good fit for the DDA? We do all that all within minutes, as opposed to email, phone calls, hey, can we schedule a meeting, whatnot. The village planner comes in, the village inspector. Those are all best practices for other DDAs. Best practices, you all have them. You've reinstated a few of them tonight. I'm happy to see that. So DDAs have best practices, libraries have all of your offices, everybody has best practices that you use. And so this is not an uncommon thing at all for them to work within a municipality. So, yeah. So, but I would ask that my board members be asked some of these questions, so I defer to them.
I ask that you would consider renegotiating the lease for more money,
There you go.
and not allowing.
Can you ask her to come up so everyone knows she's not just someone
For her
speaking?
volunteers up there. That
Yeah.
would go meet someplace
Kelly,
else.
Could you come up just so they don't think you're just, and so everyone knows who you are?
It is appreciated. People at home.
Renegotiating the lease, but this one needs to go.
Kelly Stevens, DDA Chair, resident of Romeo. What I was asking is maybe you would reconsider negotiating this lease for the use of just the employees. If the problem is the meeting she's holding with the volunteers, we can go off-site and do that someplace else. We can find a location. I also, if you're dead set on canceling this lease, I would ask that you would extend it through Winterfest. At least let us get this under our belt.
Thank you, Kelly.
Any more discussion? Do you want to amend your motion at all?
Yes, I'll amend it to, will that be 90 days?
Through February.
Through February?
90 days or through February? 90 days?
Yeah, give me 90 days to. I can do that.
May I make one other comment?
Sure.
And then I forgot it for a quick second. You know, speaking to, oh, now I remember it, growing in leaps and bounds. If only my budget allowed that. My college graduate employee that works for me part-time is paid a very small amount of money. So, and I would love to make her full-time or be able to give her a raise. That's just not in the budget right now. We're working on a fundraising campaign right now for sponsorships for 2023. So that, in that way, we won't grow in leaps and bounds. In ways we will grow in leaps and bounds and continue to grow in leaps and bounds are the volunteers that are committed and dedicated to the work and the vision of what they see that my DDA board has allowed these things to happen. And Megan is one of them. She's been a big supporter of what we've done. So expanding that space, no, not a possibility. The other item is in the DDA budget that you all approved and that she also approved, sitting on the DDA board. The space rent was doubled in the budget, from $600 a year to $1,200 a year, in anticipation that that would be amended. So the former president didn't have an issue with the space because we worked through all of those issues, like, I don't know if you can have a second desk, well, let's figure this out. We had a calendar that we shared with the office, so that when there was a meeting coming up, I know of a meeting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., we know we can work and pivot somewhere else, not a problem. So those are very real things. And going from a $50 a month lease or $100 a month lease to now $1,500 plus, that's going to have a huge detrimental effect to the DDA's budget and the growth and things that we can do. So I would just request on behalf of the board, I think because we've asked this and Mr. Hayes asked earlier, I would just ask that you consider tabling it. Have a committee. You're forming subcommittees for all kinds of other things. How about a few of you meet with a few of my board members and sit down and go, okay, well, what may or may not work with this? No doors can be left open because I no longer have a key to the building. So that's not an issue. Caroline Miller, our treasurer, was the one who let us in and to be able to use the space for the 7 o'clock meeting 2 weeks ago. So that was not you had to go downstairs. She escorted them down, so nothing was done. This is a common thing. It's a best practice thing. To lose that camaraderie will be sad for the village. Yes, you're right. I can work anywhere and be successful, but it doesn't mean that there won't be some handicaps to it. So, thank you.
If I could ask you one question.
Sure.
I think it was your guys' last meeting, and I don't know if it was viable or it was just someone speaking. Were you not offered a free office space to use?
In a warehouse outside of the village proper, right? Which is
Okay.
very generous.
I didn't know if that was something we followed up on because I was like, wow, we
Yeah.
get a space for free.
No, it's down
That would be-
near Frontier
That'd
Town.
be better
So
than even us.
well, but it's outside of the space, so it would be
Okay.
difficult
I
to.
wasn't sure exactly.
Yeah,
how that
no,
worked.
but thanks for remembering that. Yeah.
Elizabeth, once again, what was the percentage of communities that work together? 65%?
65% of those that answered the survey have offices within their municipal space, and most of them don't pay any rent.
All could, other communities could handle this just fine.
And the other 35, they're off-site somewhere else?
Yeah, some own their own space. I mean, they have, for example, I only know of a few, Lake Orion, their budget's 800,000, ours is 200.
Yeah.
So huge price, cost difference there because of budget, and we have a much smaller downtown development district, so.
And I have to admit, I love watching you run through town. You can go from the village hall to a business within minutes or less, and you're able to do, make progress with these folks.
In heels, too.
In heels. Careful.
I have one more comment and then one question for Ms. Stevens. I also did some research about municipalities, and what people need to understand is, again, not apples to apples. Lake Orion's municipality building, Washington Township municipality building are not like the Village of Romeo's. So they're not apples to apples, and that's part of, I think, the concern from what I'm hearing. But Ms. Stevens, or Elizabeth, it's a yes or no question. Has another business, other than the one outside the office, has another business offered to help resolve this? Do they have space that they want to offer to have you there? Because it seems like that might be an option. But
Well,
no,
we've
Kelly,
been
you're saying
busy
no?
planning Winterfest, we've been busy planning Christmas for our families, and, at our last DDA meeting, President Poznanski said, I'm bringing it to the council. They might say, I don't know what's going to happen with this. So it would have been premature to pursue all kinds of other options or, put a message out to our central business district saying we may or may not have a space, because really it's you 6 people are the ones who hold the keys literally and figuratively to this situation, so.
Thank you.
Does the village offices have cameras inside
John,
the
if you-
building?
No?
John wants to. Go.
Is this a board member asking for a comment?
Yeah,
Okay.
John.
If I may?
Yeah.
Just my 2 cents. I did want to just expand upon Zach's previous public comment regarding, I guess my request would be if we could table this. The way I see this, there's a couple issues. Is
does the town hall facility, the village hall facility, are you able to have a tenant? Do you have the space? What other uses does the village hall want that space for anyways? I absolutely believe the DDA should work and does work in conjunction with the village. And from what I know of Elizabeth, there is a lot of back and forth in a positive way, which being in a very close facility would benefit. But I do want to make one point, which does bother me between our meetings and some word on the street. I don't believe the integrity of the DDA board, the DDA executive director, would ever allow, because of a office, the momentum that we have built, which I'm happy to be happy to be part of, would stop. Too much integrity. Too many of us are adults in the room. We have a job to do. We're going to do it. I would prefer to be in the village office. I'm hoping the trustees can maybe have discussions, and what I think the best solution would be table this. I'd love to have some DDA board members and some trustees collaborate together to find some issues on both sides, positives and negatives. Maybe there'll be a resolution. Maybe not, but we need to at least have that discussion. If we're talking about changing a lease, paying more money, if that's what the issue is, maybe that money should be put into the office to make it more private. There may be a solution. I know it would take money, but if we're going to put money into a lease anyways, that might be one angle. If it's outside visitors, I think Kelly's point, well taken. Maybe we don't need anybody but our executive director, board members entering the building. That could possibly solve some of the security issues which are being brought up. We could go on, but I think that's the dialogue that I would love to see. If this can be tabled, it will give time for both village and DDA to try to come to that resolution. And I guess that's how I see it. I would prefer the DDA to be in the same facility, but I assure you, if I have anything to say, if we're not in the same facility, the job won't stop.
Thanks, John. Mr. Clark, I have a question. Can I amend, in the terms of this agreement, it says notice in 1 month, can I amend that to 90 days?
You can. I believe Ms. Poznanski supported your motion, so she would have to agree to the amendment.
Okay.
I agree to the amendment.
Okay. My motion is to give them a 90-day notice within that time. Hopefully you guys can work on something different.
All right, roll call, please.
Fowler?
This is to, no, this, or.
For your original motion.
Yes.
So we're not tabling?
No.
We
Got a motion.
We have a
on the table.
motion on the floor.
Motion to.
You could have
give them
changed it,
90
right?
days.
Motion on
You
the
could
table.
have.
Okay.
Okay.
is yes.
President Poznanski?
Yes.
Bartholomew?
Yes. I'm sorry, no. Can you read the motion again, please?
Motion is to give the DDA, it has been amended from 30 days to 90 days notice to terminate the lease agreement.
No.
Edwards?
No.
Parker?
No.
Russell?
No.
Motion's 2 to 4, motion fails.
I'd make a motion to table the lease agreement discussion till end of February, or till our February meeting, and we can form if we have to do a committee or subcommittee with DDA members, like John had mentioned, and try to find a resolve.
Support?
proceed with roll call?
Yes, please.
Parker?
Yes.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Fowler?
No.
Rosso?
No.
President Poznanski?
No.
3-3 vote is a tie, motion fails.
I guess I'd make a motion just to leave the current agreement as is.
Do I do even need a motion to do that? I don't think we do.
Don't need one?
If we don't do anything today, it just stays
It
intact.
stays the same, then. Let's leave it.
I'm going to throw out a motion to follow the lease with a 30-day notice to end the lease with the DDA.
The motion was what?
To
The
follow it
original
the 30 days.
Second.
President Poznanski?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
Rosso?
Yes.
Parker?
No.
Edwards?
No.
Bartholomew?
No.
3-3 tie, motion fails.
Okay. I don't know if there's any other ways to split it.
Stays in place.
So we're not willing to
Consensus?
discuss different options with the DDA? That's where we're at.
Apparently not.
This current lease in place? No. After this lease is terminated, then yes.
Well, I
You
mean,
got- you gotta
you
get
just,
rid
you
of
were
this.
gonna give them 90 days, end of February.
Yeah.
I said, let's table this
That's
till
what she
then
asked for. That's what she
and
asked
have a
for.
discussion.
She asked for 90 days, gave it to her.
Do we have any more motions? Okay. Next item, DDA meeting pay. This was an addition from trustee Parker.
Yeah, so I know all our other boards are paid now. Had a conversation with a couple of the DDA members about this. Just wanted to put it out for discussion with us. I don't know if it's something we need to approve, except for approving it in their budget if they decided to put that into their next budget, if they would want to be paid or not. I know a couple of them had expressed maybe interest now that planning and zoning and everyone else is paid. So, I don't know. After I added it, I kind of thought they have their own budget, so I don't know if we need to make any motion on it or any more than a discussion at this point about it. I don't know if anyone else would be in favor of supporting that if they put it into their budget.
I guess if it was in their budget,
So
we have final say over their budget, so.
Yeah. So I guess at this point, we can just
For discussion.
and we can just put it back to them.
Yeah, I'd like to,
Oh,
from
yeah.
Kelly.
As pay for the DDA board, I don't think that's something you should engage in. We collect our funds as taxpayers' money, so I don't think we want to be using our money to give us pay for these meetings. Just my thought.
I can respect that.
It's off the table.
Okay.
That's it.
Moving on, item C, Purple Heart Community.
Remove DDA funding request up from
Oh,
I to C.
I apologize. DDA funding request is C now. This was a request presented to me. I said I am not in favor of taxpayer dollars funding porta potties for a DDA event. If a DDA has an event that needs porta potties, then you find the money to support your event, not the taxpayer dollars. But I threw it out there, but you could ask the board. So they are asking the board for this approval of $540 for the porta potties and four porta potties for the Winterfest event.
I don't know, someone want DDA, if I could ask, is this a make or break for the event? If you don't have this funding from us? Like, is this event not gonna happen?
I'm sure there's many businesses that would be willing to step into that, but one of my roles as a DDA director has been, especially with our downtown businesses, is to not bleed them and nickel and dime them for donations here and there, and because they give so much on a regular basis. They have, their door might as well be a revolving door, people coming in asking for donations, and the whole purpose of the DDA is to help the downtown development area grow and prosper. Grow, I don't mean expand and make it huge and become a Rochester. We all know Romeo's not Rochester, nor Romeo's Romeo. And that's, we want to keep it that way. So to answer your question, honestly, I wanted to amend that. I wasn't able to get a meeting with Megan until tomorrow. Honestly, I'm looking for an annual sponsorship from the Village of Romeo to pay for our porta johns for every event that we have. This is a common, again, it's a best practice for other municipalities to join forces, most of them understanding that a DDA budget is actually quite small in order to do what we do. We do what we do because we've had phenomenal volunteers who have donated their time and their resources. Our whole branding campaign was done for free, and I'm not going to get on a soapbox, I promise you. To your point, Zach, I'm learning to be a little bit quicker with my comments. But what I will say is, it is a very common thing for municipalities to partner with their DDAs with financial funding as well. Many of them, actually, their directors are on their staff, so they can take advantage of benefits and other things that a DDA can't do without it being cost prohibitive. So I would love to amend that and actually have you all fund porta johns. We don't have any public restrooms in our downtown. Does everybody know that? You know, Main Street Coffee Shop, Four Corners Diner, Ace Hardware had a real hardship during the Peach Festival because they had a line out the door, not of people buying stuff. They were lined out the door because they were using their restroom. And so this is a service to our downtown. The village benefits when we have events. The property owners and the realtors and everybody benefits when we hold these events because it brings more attention to Romeo, but it also helps with property values. And so this is a common thing to use government funds to pay for places for people to safely use the restroom and wash their hands and be safe in our community. So,
Thank you, Elizabeth.
thank you.
You guys do fundraisers, don't you?
Pardon?
You do fundraisers, right?
No, we don't do fundraisers. I have asked for donations, correct. Yes, but it's a partnership thing. That's what this is.
I'm thinking golf outing, things, obviously you need monies to do stuff. And just something to have into the kitty is better than nothing at all. All right, just ask the question.
Sure.
Thank you. So, yeah, as a trustee, you know, we love seeing all these thousands of people come to town. And I'm up there a lot in town, and it just hurts me to see, you know, young moms like going into a restaurant just thinking, well, am I going to get turned away? Or I think to Elizabeth's point, that it is kind of the village's responsibility to provide some bathrooms for the people, the thousands that come. And because they're only enhancing the community, I think it's a common courtesy almost. It's $540, so I'm going to make a motion that we provide this time. Then you can come back with a permanent thingy-majigger. That we provide this for $540 for 4 fully stocked with hand sanitizer and toilet paper, and we're getting $15 off each unit, so. But yeah, that's my motion.
Support.
You good? I have two questions,
So
if
these
you
we,
don't mind.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Elizabeth, on the map that you provided, it says porta potties in 2 locations, but the billing is for 4 porta potties. Is that 2 porta potties at each location?
2 sets, yeah. Madison actually did this, but I will speak for her, and I'm pretty sure it's 2 at each location. Because that's what we did during Screech Fest. There were 2 that we put over in front of Four Corners Diner, and then we actually got Little Don's John's, however you say their name. They donated an extra one that went next to the Masonic Lodge so there was 2 over there. So it's sets of 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many times in 2022 did the porta potties get paid for by the village? How many events?
Well, we had, let me think, we had Winterfest. We did not have any for Winterfest. I believe it was only Vintage Fest, because we didn't have any for Winterfest. And Screech Fest, I believe we paid for those, but I'd have to check. I don't have that in front of me, I'm sorry.
Okay, and.
It's possible the village helped with that one, but I'm not sure.
Okay, and I'm not, obviously, you can't predict how many people are going to come to Winterfest, but when you look at the contract with the porta potty people, at most, they can only accommodate 200 to 400 people for these porta johns, as far as toilet paper and hand sanitizer and stuff. I'm anticipating you're going to get more than 200 to 400 people.
We probably won't have more people than were in town for the Halloween season. And that was quite busy behind the Masonic Lodge with all that they had back there. And to my knowledge, there were no issues at all. The person who was on duty that weekend, who was manning the porta potties, I don't even know if I have the right lingo on this one, but I hope I'm saying it right. But there were no issues. He didn't have to come back to refill anything within those the 3 or 4 day window, to my understanding.
So then I would wonder how much are people really using them then? Because if each porta potty can accommodate 50 to 100 people.
I can make a phone call to him, but it's probably not going to be a good time to call him now, so.
Yeah.
But I don't have an answer to that. But having public restrooms, it's necessary, you know, for sure. It's too bad we don't have public restrooms that are like a permanent structure and, you know, all that, but we don't have that, so, yeah.
And the business owners aren't, other than the couple that did.
If you walk around town, you will see there are signs in almost every door that says no public restrooms, no public restrooms, no public restrooms, no public restrooms.
Kind of an oxymoron. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And could I just remind the board, so this is $540 for this one event. Currently, the DDA pays $600 a year. That kind of negates the rent there for the year. And bring it back to what we do at the village. We have roads to pay for. We just asked you to give us millions of dollars for roads. And I understand that this seems like a small number, but I'm trying to get you to see where I'm coming from. Every little bit counts. And so this adds up over time, over years, which means more millions of dollars from you to fix our roads. This is where I'm coming from. Very fiscally conservative. I'm sorry, we're not taking public comments. I'm sorry, sir. Okay. You have a motion?
Can you repeat the motion, please?
There's a motion.
You ready?
Yes, go ahead.
Bartholomew,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Parker.
The motion is to approve this?
Yes.
That was Bartholomew's original motion.
Yes.
Fowler,
No.
President Poznanski,
No.
Rosso,
No.
motion 3-3 ties, motion fails.
Do we have any other motions? Or we move on? Okay, so moving on to now the Purple Heart community. This was a request by Trustee Parker.
I was approached by Miss Susan Howard. She's with the VFW Veterans and Family Support. Currently, I think Armada just went through this, became a Purple Heart community. She asked if Romeo would entertain looking into it. I told her I would present the information that she presented to us, to you guys. And
I can read her letter here if you guys want, so that everyone knows.
Thank you.
It says, "My name is Susan Howard. I am a chairperson for Veterans and Family Support with the Stryber-McVicker VFW Auxiliary. The purpose of this letter is to request council to proclaim the Village of Romeo a Purple Heart community. By definition, a Purple Heart veteran was injured or killed in combat at the hands of the enemy. Those that are still with us rarely speak of the circumstance that brought them to the title of distinction. Therefore, it is our duty to let them and their loved ones know that we remember the sacrifice that they made. Romeo is not just a place on the map, it is a feeling that lives within us. Please add Purple Heart Community to the long list of beautiful things that formulate this feeling.
So I'm not sure if Armada's got their signs up now, but basically at all the entrances to the village or the town, there's a sign that represents us as a Purple Heart community. And like she said, just showing our respect for those people. So
What's the
I don't
cost?
know how the process exactly works. She was going to be here tonight. She's ill and could not make it. She knew a little bit more about how that worked. I'm sure there's some information that needs to be filled out, and then
Would it be better to table it then till the next meeting, if
Yes.
she can come?
But yeah, I think we're definitely interested.
Yeah.
So find out the
Yeah.
next step.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, tell her, give her some positive news, but.
Yeah.
We'll table it and wait till
You want
she
to make that
can.
motion?
Oh, well, I guess I'll make a motion to go ahead and table this for now till our January meeting.
Support?
So, all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Apparently.
That way you won't have to guess or anything like that.
Yeah, no, that'd be perfect. She'll be happy.
Moving on, we have elected official cell phones. Again, this was an addition by trustee
There
Parker.
we go again. So at one of the last Bruce Township meetings, they brought up the idea or topic, I think they currently have some, but expanding on that, which just made me, I'm just pulling up a letter from Bruce with some of the information about trustees and elected officials having cell phones. I know last year at some point, we did have some FOIA situations. Clerk tried to FOIA my personal phone with, for a personal picture that was sent to me. And I think if we had phones or ways of communicating that were only going to be used for village use, then that would alleviate any type of FOIA or legal situations moving forward. Cell phones could be listed on the website along with our email address. You know, where residents could reach out if need be. So I'd put it out there for communication, discussion from the board. Frank DeGiorio sent me some information that he had from, trying to pull it up here, I think it was Verizon. I think roughly it was like $39 a month, I think, is what the plan came out to for municipalities. So, putting it on you guys for discussion if you want to look at or entertain gathering quotes or information, more information, even if it's even something we want to look into doing.
I remember them talking about that at that meeting. Do you recall what the result was?
I think they decided to get one or two phones and maybe a tablet. I don't know the exact resolve of it.
So I think some of them said they didn't want one.
Some said no, some said yes.
Okay.
I guess we could do it that way also, but I would think if it was across the board or the table, whatever you want to say, where we had ways to communicate with residents and amongst ourselves for business use only, obviously, then that just eliminates any issues.
I wouldn't take one, just for the record.
Same here.
I spoke with Catherine. We would see a use for myself and the clerk to have one. We do a lot of handing out our own numbers after hours, weekends, especially cemetery sexton.
Yeah.
She has to do a lot of outside of your physical office
Yeah, I would
phone work.
agree. Yeah.
So at least that's how we felt.
For those who want them, maybe?
I think if we do that, we need to make sure we have a very clear policy in
Policy,
place
yes.
about, lost, stolen, hacked, FOIA, all that
How it's
other.
used, when it's used,
Mhm.
what it's used for. Yeah, we'd have to put something in place, I would agree. I guess is the consensus to move forward, maybe get something, contact someone from Verizon, and I don't know if there's any other carriers that provide municipal rates or,
We currently have phone service, our office phone services through Verizon, so we do have a government-established account that I can contact them to see what phones are available at what rate.
And we do have a couple out already. Isn't that what you-
Yes, there are some.
We have some supervisors.
Supervisors in the village that do that.
So maybe we could ask Megan to ask them for a quote? Or whoever?
I can get a quote.
Okay.
Thank you, Catherine.
That'd be great.
Awesome.
Okay.
That's all we got there.
Okay, trustee and board vacancies. I put this on the agenda. I wrote down all of our committees, everything we have, and all the seats that are open. Seats that are open, I mean, it includes, some of them have people sitting in them, their position is just up for reappointment. However, I wanted to garner all of the interest to see who else might be new that wants to jump on a committee. So currently, we have nothing up on the library board. We have one for the cemetery, 2 for the DDA, 3 plus a council liaison, so technically 4, but one of them has to be from the council here, for planning commission, 4 for the tree board, 2 for a zoning board of appeals, 4 for our historic district commission. We have 5 for the new, the Sisson Park that we just, the citizen task force that we just created. So we've yet to actually put anybody on those, on that one. I would like to, getting all 5 there, stagger a terms of like 2 and 3, so that then those are going to come up.
Is that all citizens or residents, or is
Yeah.
there anyone, I'm assuming you would be on that with them?
I could, that's not, I don't remember how we set that up, that they wanted a board liaison or not. Yeah.
The names here of people that were.
Yes, I have the list of people, and we're, at this point, let me finish. We have a board trustee seat open. So those are all the seats that are open. So I wanted to put it out there officially and have everybody that was interested reply, anybody who has a letter of interest, a resume. Some people are asking to set up meetings with me, so that we can garner everybody's interest. Everyone has a fair chance to jump on one of the boards, send in a letter. All of the boards, except for the trustee seat, are president-appointed, council-approved. The trustee seat is a council appointment, so we all have to agree on that one. Or I should say, anybody can throw that out, the motion out there.
It's not
So,
oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
what I'm looking for is letters of interest sent to the president's email, dropped off at Village Hall, any way that you could get it to me. I add it to my pile. I have all files for all of these boards that everybody's letters going in, take it into consideration, and we'll come back at January, make all the appointments
Is there a deadline on those letters, Megan?
before the meeting in January.
So before the board packet goes out?
Yeah. Let's see.
That meeting date moved
Because of the holiday.
because of where it was.
So you don't think it's the 16th?
It's usually the Tuesday after, isn't it?
The 16th.
I mean, the Monday, like
We did the Monday after the last time.
did we? Okay.
I can double check, but my notes had it scribbled that we did the Monday after, for January, February, and June.
Okay, so you're thinking the 23rd?
Because I would always miss, for choir practice, I would always miss. It used to be the following day, like.
We did, we used to do that, but I don't know what we did last
Okay,
year.
Gotcha.
Just January, February, and June.
We've also done it on the 4th Monday.
Okay.
Second Monday.
Well, I'm open to anything.
Yeah, we didn't approve a calendar, did we, for next year, did we?
We do that at the budget cycle, so we did that in June.
Oh, yeah, so we did approve, yeah. So I guess it's on there.
Okay, well, to be safe, let's say you need to get your letter of interest in by January 12th, just in case it is that 3rd.
2023.
Next item is village planner. This one was on here for more so information. Our village planner has handed in his letter of notice. He is done at the end of December, so we are in need of a village planner. We asked him for suggestions, and he did recommend that we reach out to the county, that he knows that the county does service smaller municipalities such as ourselves might be a cheaper option for us and is an as-needed basis. So I've already reached out to Vicki Rowinski at the county. We're trying to set up a time, try and get us a planner as soon as possible, see if the county can work with us there.
Can't
If
we
not,
just
hopefully
use some
they
of
have
the,
suggestions.
Can't we use some of the resources that we currently have in place? I mean, we have the planning commission, we got your ZBA, and we have our attorney,
Right.
who used to run it before you hired, not you hired, but before the village planner was hired.
Right, I mean, that's an option too, to not hire another planner.
Yeah, I mean, I'd always have to correct him anyway. It's just-
I will say, though, there are things that come up in Village Hall, certain questions that it is nice to bounce off the professional.
Got an
We
attorney
had
right
someone
there.
come in asking for, do I need a rezoning? What would that look like? That sort of thing. So,
Mark, what would be your recommendation on having an official village planner or not having?
Well, my recommendation would be to have somebody to whom you could direct questions as you need to do that. How you structure that, whether you have somebody on a retainer or somebody willing to work on an hourly basis or on a catch-as-catch-can basis. I think that having that resource available is important, but it's important to the people that deal with it. It's important to the Planning Commission, the Zoning Board of Appeals. It's important to Mrs. Wilson in the building section and to maybe Clerk Trapp and President Poznanski. So this is a variation of you're asking a lawyer if you need a lawyer. Now you're asking a lawyer if you need a planner, and you probably do. And so the question then becomes, how do you structure it so that you get the best use out of it and you're not overpaying for the service that you receive?
Perfect.
So did you say you're going to be meeting with
so
someone?
that's, yeah, that is the.
Find out what our options are?
Yep.
Okay,
Is this
perfect.
John Paul Ray that?
It's like, it's the department, it's not specifically.
She replaced John
JB.
Paul Ray.
Oh, okay.
She's the new John
Oh.
Paul Ray.
Yeah, I know they're helpful at zoning board meetings for sure. So, yeah.
So that is where we are with that. Just wanted to let everybody know we are in search of a new planner. G, the crosswalk budget amendment. Let me see. So you have your amendment here. Essentially, the project, like we said earlier, is still under budget. The amendment is basically focused on, Danielle wrote it the best, so I'm just going to read how Danielle said it. The overall cost of the Central Business District Crosswalk project is projected to be under budget by approximately $32,000 in total. However, the project started later than expected, which pushed a majority of the actual expense into fiscal year 2023, whereas a majority of the project was budgeted in fiscal year 2022. Therefore, presented in the packet, the board for approval is an amendment to roll a portion of the unused budget from the prior fiscal year into the current fiscal year budget to cover these costs. So if you look, she has, one side has the budget amendment, and the other side has the list of all the services. At the top, where you see the fiscal year 2022, there's 311 was budgeted there to cover the cost of the project for that year cycle. And then in 2023, there was the 110 totaling the 421. But if you come all the way down to the bottom, you can see that in 2022, we only paid out the 55.7, which means we need more for the 2023 budget. So this is just, as Danielle calls it, rolling over that balance to the next year. So that's where we are with the amendment.
So we're moving the funds, but we're still looking at being about 30,000 under.
Correct.
Okay.
Read a motion for this?
Yes.
Make a motion to affirm the crosswalk budget amendment as stated.
Can we say
Second.
rolling over the $228,073.02 into
Rolling
the-
over $228.70, $228,000, 73 at 2 cents to the 2023 budget year.
There.
I'll second.
That was second by Parker.
That's correct.
Okay. Edwards?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
President Poznanski?
Yes.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
Rosso?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Okay, moving on to the other budget amendment for the Church Street parking lot. Now, this one is a bit different. So I will again read what Danielle wrote. In addition to the Central Business District budget, the Church Street parking lot project, the board originally authorized a budget for this project of $90,500. The project is complete and the final billing for the project is $153,032. So a $62,532 budget amendment is presented for the board's approval. So if we all kind of remember back, we passed it, that first contractor came on, right away started, it looked like it wasn't going to happen. They started dragging their feet, asking different questions. So we went back out for bid again, approved the project with the new contract, but never went and approved more money to fulfill that contract. So essentially, now we need to cover this $62,532.
And that was that was for additional work because of my understanding, the extra removal of topsoil and then extra
There is some
base.
additional work. That's the 7920, the change in work form. That's in addition to what was originally quoted. So I gave you the rundown. It gives you everything that was done, and then it also includes that extra change order in there.
So the 7920 was the additional, and then so there's on top of that 50-some thousand? Is that my understanding? Is that correct?
Yeah. So we approved all of it, we just never then adjusted the money, the budget for it.
Make a motion to pay the bill.
Support.
In the amount of $62,532.
Yep.
Motion by Fowler, and support by who?
Nathan.
Bartholomew?
Thank you. Fowler?
Yes.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Rosso?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
President Poznanski?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Okay, moving on, the street administrator appointment. This is an appointment that the president takes, but the board has to officially appoint the president. We need this in order to fulfill some paperwork that is due by the end of the year. So it is.
This is always the president does this?
Yeah, I think
Yes,
Christine was.
but we
previously,
have, but you still have to appoint. So this is just crossing
Something
our
that the clerk-
Ts, dotting our Is.
That the clerk used to handle in the past, or president always handled it?
Well, in the past, we had a dual role, so that's how we've separated it.
Okay.
So, looking for a motion.
Are you comfortable doing this?
I'm going to have to be.
Yeah.
Christine did it before.
Yeah, I make a resolution to appoint President Poznanski as our street administrator.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Moving on, our fire and ALS contract, we received an email this last week that we were late on our payment, that it had not been paid, and according to the lease, there is a 7% additional charge in the amount of, which comes to $37,100. So it takes our $530 contract to $567,000. I included for you the email and our contract with Bruce Township.
I guess first, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Where was the oversight?
They do not send us invoices. So it was just an oversight in the late summer.
What the contract says, every October.
So it's in our contract, we pay it every year, and then we just didn't, we forgot to pay it this year?
That is correct.
I guess I need a little more explanation. I mean, how do we just overlook a $500-some thousand contract? I mean, is it not in like a calendar or something updating us? Now we're paying an extra $40,000?
The accountant typically has it in the calendar. I just don't know what happened this, she apologized, I apologize too. This is the first time we've been late.
Well, isn't this something
Whose
you-
responsibility is it to pay this?
Between me and the accountant.
And you've paid it in the previous years, correct?
That is correct.
So initially, the thought was, well, do we just go and negotiate this? And it's like, well, I don't know that negotiating it is exactly the right thing to do. So I wanted to bring it here. We have something that Bruce wants, and if we ask them to negotiate this, what else are they going to ask from us down the road? Is it going to be worth it for us rather to, now, this is a large sum to pay this out now, than to be beholden to them when it comes down the road to our sewer contract?
I'm still stumped at the fact that we didn't catch this thing on time. And the taxpayers got to pay this $37,000.
Yeah.
That's the problem. All you guys, work up the money. Because you don't have it marked on your calendar, period.
I mean, if you
Something
paid
you pay
it
every
every
year.
other year prior to this, what reminds you to pay this bill?
Everybody knows when their rent's due or house payment, it's the same thing for us.
Okay, but the point here is, yes, that is what happened, and I understand that. But let's take a breath and go forward. Where do we want to go from here?
Got to pay the bill.
Gotta pay the bill.
Gotta pay it.
I have a
We owe it.
question first, if you guys don't mind, gentlemen, don't mind. Mr. Clark,
Yes.
do we have any type of bond or insurance that covers for neglect or derelict of duty that we can draw from to pay this?
You'd have to make that inquiry to your insurance company. It may cover an action like this. It just depends on the scope of the coverage and whether the particular act or omission would be within that coverage. I would certainly make that inquiry, but without examining the village's policy, I cannot tell you specifically that there's coverage, but I would certainly submit the claim and pursue that as a possible source of recouping the money.
Has that been looked into?
Not yet. No, I was waiting for board direction.
Well, I'll make a motion that we pay this bill
And to look into.
and still talk to the insurance. Because I don't think that, I mean, they would cover even if we paid it. If they said we're gonna cover it,
Yeah.
you know, so I make a motion that we pay this bill.
I'll second.
I don't know if it's worth mentioning, but we do have that contract with Bruce that they pay us $250,000 a year in quarterly installments, and in the last 3 years, they've been late 5 times with no penalty and no board discussion. And that is with us mailing them invoices as gentle reminders.
Yeah, we should be
So
on
why
time.
wasn't
Well, if we're gonna pay it, then
We
they-
should be on
that
time
needs
with
to
ours.
stop.
Attention.
If they're
Even though
late,
they're
they need to be
charged.
charged.
Yeah,
We should be on time.
yeah,
That's just
Correct.
neglect.
yeah, it's,
Okay, so then we have clear direction. This is what the board wants, and then going forward, should Bruce be late, please bring it to the board, Catherine, and
Yes.
we will go from there.
Have we paid the
Well, there is a motion
530
on the
yet?
floor.
No, we were waiting for board direction.
Okay.
Okay, roll call, please.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
Parker?
yes.
Rosso?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
President Kozniewski?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And you're gonna put something in place that
Yes.
reminds us months ahead of time that we gotta pay this.
Put it on your
this
calendar
bill.
yearly?
I mean,
It
Next
was
year?
in America.
The year after?
Happened
The next 4 years, put it on your calendar?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said for the next 4 years, put it on your calendar, please.
No problem.
Can we get an update at the next meeting about inquiry into insurance for this? Thank you.
Okay, and lastly, we have the Ameriscan, the documents on demand. Again, I threw this in here just to keep the board up to date. This is something that I suggested back this last year when it came to our goals and objectives. This would help. Remember, he came and gave us a presentation on the software, all of that. This is something that I would like to initiate, and I just wanted everyone to know that we're going to start with the software. It's a 1-year contract. That way, should it not be something that's as useful as we thought it would be, or not, maybe not as user-friendly, but all of the surrounding municipalities use it. Bruce Township has thrown more money at it, getting all of their documents digitized. That's something that we can talk about at a later date, but initially, just getting this started, getting information online. And it's an easier way to get the board packets to all of us that are electronic. So just wanted to keep everyone in the loop there.
This will be like Bruce and their,
I mean, it's,
their packets, their agendas, everything's online for the residents to view
That
ahead of
is,
time.
yep, that is the intention.
And that would be all
but is
boards.
this something that we should vote on, or is this something?
No, we don't have to. I'm just letting everybody know that this is going, if you want to make a motion, you
No, I'm
can.
just wondering, are you making a decision to move forward with this?
Yeah,
Is it spending money?
yeah.
The grant,
It's within the,
$1,000.
it's within the spending limit. I was
Yeah.
bringing, if you'd like to make a motion, go ahead.
No,
I was bringing it
just
to us
asking.
so that we all knew, so
It's a
that there was
grand,
no surprises when this pops up on our website and all of our stuff, and everyone, oh, where did this come from?
Okay.
Just keeping us in the loop.
So,
Make a motion to adjourn?
before-
Hold on.
I just,
We have closed session.
I know.
Well,
You got
yeah.
adjourn, and then we'll go to closed session.
Okay.
Go into closed session.
I will ask that next month, and it should have been on this month, right? President pro tem appointment. It's supposed to
Right,
happen
with all
as
of
soon
the-
to November 20th.
Well, my thought
as
with
possible.
that was that in not appointing the trustee yet, we would bring that trustee in on that decision, so making that ahead of time without them. That was my thought on holding off on that one till,
Good point.
See, it's just the state law, that's all.
it's been ignored before. Okay,
Motion to go to closed session?
Motion to go into
I'll
Who said that?
second.
I'm sorry.
Zach
And who seconded that?
Parker.
That is a roll call vote. Are we ready? Fowler?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Roscoe?
Yes.
President Poznanski? Motion carries. We can enter into session.
Thanks for coming out, everyone.
Do not need roll call.
Chief, thank you.
November's
We're up.
over.
We're up.
We're up.
Motion to adjourn?
No?
He still hasn't appeared.
We want to direct Megan to,
Make a motion.
yeah. Oh, you want to make a motion?
We gotta
No,
make,
we're doing it, need to make a motion. We just would do, in public, we have to
Oh, yeah.
ask Megan to go ahead and start up the or ask for the purchase.
to respond to,
Respond to Mr.
My
Corbin.
recommendation is just that direct Mrs. Poznanski to respond to Mr. Corbin's letter.
There you go.
what Mr. Clark said.
Yep.
Do that, and we will see where we go.
Motion-
Awesome.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Did you have something to go over, Megan?
Yeah, but after the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting closed at 9:39.
It has come to our attention that with the water rate